grit in their eye, wagons full of goods, dreams bound for Lilith. But shadows lurked in silence, bringing the test of death. The horses' hooves were steady on the worn-out trail, through valleys deep and wide, past a silver veil. Bandits in the night, with greed and foul intent, turned the peaceful journey into swift lament. Run, caravan, the bandits close behind. From Winstead to Lilith, there's no peace to find. Hold tight to your dreams, ride through the night. In the land of Thera, you must stand and fight. Torches lit the darkness, faces cloaked in dread. Caravan speeding forward, a bounty on its head. The wind whispered warnings through the ancient pines, as Thera's hills echo with those desperate cries. Wheels upon the gravel, hearts pounding wild, whispers of a haven, just another mile. But destiny in Thera is cruel and unkind. Bandits closing in, stealing peace of mind. Run, caravan, the bandits close behind. From Winstead to Lilith, there's no peace to find. Hold tight to your dreams, ride through the night. In the land of Thera, you must stand and fight. Wheels upon the gravel, hearts pounding wild, whispers of a haven, just another mile. But destiny in Thera is cruel and unkind. Land is closing in, stealing peace of mind. Run, caravan, the bandits close behind. From Winstead to Lilith, there's no peace to find. Hold tight to your dreams, ride through the night. In the land of Thera, you must stand and fight. Heroes gather with a mission. Eyes set on Coffin Tower. Whispers of magic from the past. Ruins call with ancient power. Heroes gather with a mission. Eyes set on Coffin Tower. Whispers
What's going on, y'all? Before I get too far started on this, I do want to acknowledge Leviojima with 36 months of subscription. First off, that's just cool. You've been subscribing to me this entire time. I haven't been making content, haven't been streaming. That's loyalty and dedication right there. I love it. But I think what's more poignant, what's more important, is the fact that it happened today. Because Alpha 1 was July 14th of 2021. So it's a month and a day. So I guess I was doing a little bit of streaming about the game a little before Alpha 1 started. And you've stuck with me this entire time. That's awesome, man. So thank you so much. And we're 3 years out. 3 years out. That's just crazy. Nice Gaming says, Zillin, disagree with me one more time and you have to become my best friend. Hey, man, I thought we were best friends. I've been picking out Christmas gifts and stuff for you. Are we not? We weren't already best friends, bro? Oh, man. I'm too quiet? I can turn the music down a little more. I can barely hear it in my headset. Oh, one time, not one more time. Oh, dang. Well, whatever. I still thought we were best friends already. Oh, man. So, Nice Gaming. Awesome YouTube content creator and making content for Ashes. If you're one of the, 6 people left of the Ashes community who doesn't already watch his content and isn't already aware of him, go check him out on YouTube and Twitch. Okay, good, Vex. Squatch Bigfoot says, howdies, first time chatter. Hey, man, thank you. Thank you for stopping in. I recognize that name. I'm going to guess you've commented on my YouTube channels before. So, anyways, Nice put out a video today, and the name of the video is Ashes of Creation Hot Takes. And I have not watched it, but I have it here to watch. So we're gonna watch it, and we're gonna hear what he has to say. I happened to see a conversation that happened after he released this video with Vladis and some of the other content creators, and there was some talk about PvE versus PvP and how much of each is in the game and stuff. So I know that's the direction we're going, and I was already planning on doing a stream today where I try to steel man the argument for PvE servers. I don't think there should be PvE servers, but I really hate when people straw man other people's arguments and only attack the weak parts. So we're gonna steel man that argument today and see if we can make that argument as strong as we can, and if it changes any minds. But we're going to start by watching this video, and I'm going to educate you folks real quick. The very first thing you do before you watch any Ashes of Creation creators videos, you come down here and you hit this little button right there. Okay? That's number one. That's the first thing. Then you can watch videos. Wolfhard FPS, let's go! What's going on, brother? Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. All right, so let's see what old Nice Gaming had to say. Some hot takes for Ashes of Creation.
Hello, gamers. It's Nice, and I hope everyone who ever had a debate on the internet.
Before we even get started, can I comment on that voice? Man, if you just want to sit back and just smooth second monitor content, just listen to somebody talk in your ear about Ashes of Creation, you can't go wrong with Nice Gaming.
Internet is having a nice day. Today, I wanted to bring you some hot takes on MMOs when it comes to all things PvE, PvP, and PvX.
Okay,
this
that's
will
the
mostly
specific
stem from a
topic.
recent live stream focusing on Ashes of Creation that I did here on the channel, and I felt it was worth a deep dive and getting some more community feedback on. Today, we have a fun discussion on how to balance difficulty of PvE in an open world game when the threat of simultaneous PvP interactions can occur. We'll refer to this as PvX as there are scenarios in upcoming.
So the first thing I want to point out that I heard there is he said simultaneous PvE and PvP interactions occurring. Simultaneous meaning at the same time, which I think is a big separator in this conversation about PvP and PvE and how much of each is in the game, especially with it being a PvX game, because I think the point of PvX, what they're trying to do, I could be wrong, this is me reading the tea leaves, what Intrepid is trying to do is have it happen where those things are happening simultaneously, not you PvP for a while and then you go PvE for a while.
MMO Ashes of Creation, where both PvP and PvE can occur, and the game is marketed as such to double down on its high risk and high reward ideology. And discussions like this can beg the question on if you should make content easier to compensate for the fact that PvP can occur and a rival guild or group can flag against you whilst you are already worrying about a large mob pool, a raid boss, or a world boss that you're farming. You're just sitting there attempting to complete content, which is already difficult enough and punishing enough as is, especially when you factor in death penalties. So, should this be made easier? But before we get into...
Oh, that's interesting. Should PvE content be made easier with PvP in mind? So, should we tone down raids, world bosses, and dungeons, given the fact that at any moment somebody could come in and wipe you out while you're in the midst of dealing with a boss or a trash pull or something like that? I'm curious. I'm curious what you guys think about that. Squatch already jumping in with nope, leave it hard. I say. Vale says there are some real doomer shit takes out there for sure. Vex says the answer is no. Okay. I'm really curious where he's going to go with this, because I think I might have a little bit different take than some people here.
To that specific debate and hot take, let's start with another. Ashes of Creation is not just a PvP MMO. I'll say that again. Ashes of Creation is not just a PvP MMO, nor is PvP its primary focus. I personally believe, like Steven, that PvP is so often neglected in MMOs or looked at as an afterthought. So much so that we're not used to seeing so many PvP friendly systems nor seeing meaningful PvP. And this game, Ashes of Creation, is being designed with both PvP and PvE in mind.
Next.
That's interesting. I know that one of the complaints a lot of people have had is that they focus and showcase a lot of the PvP systems. Now, they haven't shown us a lot of PvP combat. They've actually shown us a lot more PvE combat than PvP combat. But when they are talking about the systems and the things that they've designed for systems for us to play in, the sandboxes for us to play in, they talk a lot more about the PvP side of it. So I know that's a complaint that a lot of people have. I'm just curious to see where he's going to go with this. Nice speaking into a bucket makes me feel funny.
This one is PvP gameplay. And this one's from Nice Gaming, but not spelled like nice. What steps are being taken or considered to make the tank archetype viable in PvP engagements?
There is a whole host of things that are taken. It's important to note that in a lot of MMOs that probably many of us have played, PvP can feel like a slapped-on design consideration.
Oh my God, he's right about that. We had this discussion yesterday about how PvP is so meaningless, and I didn't say slapped on, but yes, like these games, they design their classes and their world and their quest systems and their storylines and all that stuff, and the last minute they go, arena PvP, here you go. And it's like, yeah, you're just copying what everybody else has done for a long time, and it is very slapped on, and that's one of the big differences for Ashes of Creation is it's not slapped on. It has very much been in the forefront since the very, very beginning.
And our approach is very holistic in the sense that we take into account the fact this is a PvX game. So when we're designing the class kits, we are making sure that mechanics and designs are targeting applicability both in PvE settings as well as PvP settings. That's very important. There are also special mechanics like how threat is used in PvP, how taunts are used in PvP.
Oh my God. My plan was to just get through this reaction and not stop the video and talk about everything, but I can't ignore this. First off, Vex said, I feel like Nice asked, what can I do what can tanks do in PvP? And Steven answered yes, and that is kind of accurate. I've made this point before. The biggest problem with tanking in PvP in MMOs, while some of it is, yes, what Steven is talking about here, where, like, he just said about, like, taunting, for example. Does taunting do anything in PvP? In some games, it doesn't. In a lot of games, they've started to put in something where taunting actually does something to other players, or protection or guarding and these types of things. But my biggest problem is not those specific abilities that don't do anything. I think there's multiple ways to solve that issue. My problem is that the role of the class, or the role of the class is not the right way to put it. The role in battle of the tank role changes from PvP to PvE, and it doesn't for DPS or healers. For DPS, in a PvE scenario, you're trying to kill things as quick as possible while staying alive. And if you're in PvP, you're just trying to kill things as quick as possible while staying alive. The role of a healer in PvE is you want to heal everybody while staying alive. Don't let anybody die. The role of a healer in PvP is you want to heal everybody and stay alive. Don't die. Don't let anybody die. It's exactly the same. In PvE, the role of the tank is to hold aggro, keep everybody attacking me, and to some lesser amount control the battlefield. Thank you, MF Cracker, MF Crackers, for the follow. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping in and chatting. Where in PvP, your role switches to like a controller, harasser, like go into the back lines and hit the tank hit the healer with a wet noodle and try to interrupt some of his heals every once in a while or something. 2003 Honda Accord. Some of y'all's Twitch names crack me up. Thank you for the follow, man. I appreciate it. So yeah, the actual role that you're playing in combat changes from PvP to PvE, and I really wish that a game could solve that. And I will say that the tank wall that they showed in the Node War, that zone denial, that's battlefield control, and you are doing some level of battlefield control as a tank in PvE, and now they're giving you some of that in PvP. So they're at least attempting to blend those roles. So I'm really, really appreciative of that.
Those things I think require testing, but we have some ideas that will make them relevant so that you don't have abilities that have no relevancy in PvP or PvP.
Holy crap! I missed Zedka's subscription. Zedka also has been subscribed to me for 36 months, for 3 years. I think I might have streamed like 14 times in those last 3 years. Thank you so much, Zedka. You are awesome. I appreciate the support. I can't wait for us to hang out every day during Alpha 2. I don't know how I missed that.
Have some cross-application.
So I personally believe that some people have an over-exaggeration of how much Ashes is PvP focused, which leads them to think that the game won't have PvE content fleshed out or have enough for PvE-minded players. People think because PvP is getting support in Ashes of Creation means that it takes away from the PvE available. They hear terms like, oh, it's a PvP MMO, PvX, and it's just full of bloodlust. Just because a developer is smart enough and cares enough to take care of their PvP player base doesn't mean they're neglecting the PvE player base. Those things you don't have to have extremes when it comes to game design.
While he's true that you don't have to have extremes when it comes to game design, I think you'll find most MMOs just do. Like they either cater to one side or the other and kind of ignore the other side. That may be where that feeling comes from, is that there's not, like, does somebody have like a really good example of an MMO that like is really balanced between PvE and PvP? Maybe EVE Online, maybe? Somebody give me an example. TGF Tavern says, our podcast series of post A1 to pre A2 is the longest string of episodes from everything. I think it really speaks to how long awaited A2 is. Yes. I was actually commenting, you weren't in here yesterday. I'm assuming that's Bree. I was actually giving you guys a lot of kudos for the fact that every damn Friday, even during like the most, just the dullest periods where you're scratching and clawing for like 11 viewers on Twitch, you guys went live, brought in somebody else, talk about Ashes, and talked about this game, and that's, it meant real warriors, both of you guys. Absolutely warriors. I thought if a range class fired a shot and another player's in the way, it will hit the player in the way regardless of who you are locked on. Wouldn't that make tanks useful in PvP? Ripta, you are 100% correct. And from what I understand, the way that they explained it, that is correct. If you're standing in the way, the arrow will hit you or your shield or whatever instead of traveling through targets. And so, yes, that there is. I will say, for the first time in any MMO that I can remember, Morgander, thank you for the follow. I'm pretty sure you were following me during Alpha 2 or Alpha 1. The first time in any MMO that I can remember, an actual thought of a tank wall, and I don't mean the brick wall the tanks are putting up, I mean a line of tanks actually stopping you from getting into my healers and into my my DPS, my range DPS, might be a viable strategy. Now we'll have to see, and there's a lot more going into it, but yes, it's a very, very possibly a viable strategy. EVE Online emulates a lot of what happens in Ashes. I played EVE off and on since its release in 03. I played EVE a few times. I just couldn't help myself from falling asleep during the combat, so I just can't. I just can't stick with that game. My bad on my phone, y'all. Sorry. Yeah, EVE's cool, and there are a lot of little things I notice about EVE that are kind of, weaseling their way into Ashes of Creation a little bit. Mescon says the only game I could think of was Star Wars Galaxies, but I can't think of anything else. Man, I was playing Dark Age of Camelot and just completely obsessed with it during the reign of Star Wars Galaxies. I played it, but I didn't play it. I've taken part in tournaments, large-scale battles, 1K ships, political stuff, but not my forte. Oh, you're talking about EVE, yeah. The political intrigue in EVE is insane, and I'm so excited that we're going to have that political intrigue in Ashes of Creation. There are going to be YouTube channels that are dedicated to nothing but covering the drama on their channel between the big guilds and the nodes rivalries and all. Chef's kiss. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. More dedicated than TGF Tavern. Ripta says it's Patrick Millhouse, by the way. Changed my online name. Okay, cool, man. Thanks for stopping in. Patrick's been commenting on my YouTube channel since the early days. Long time subscriber. Thruk says I was a fan of the way tanks worked in SWTOR PvP, at least when I played at the beginning. SWTOR, I think, has the best tank gameplay to date in MMOs. You could guard someone, and when you were guarding someone in PvP, half the damage they took went to you. So a big part of the meta as a tank was what they called guard swapping, and you would literally just be clicking on the raid frame on the different people who were taking the most amount of damage and swapping your guard to them. And then of course the DPS would see that and they would swap target, and then you'd swap your guard. And then also anybody that you taunted, for the duration of their taunt, they would do, I think it was 50% less damage to anyone else but you. So you could really negate how much damage was going out if you were effectively taunting and AoE taunting and guard swapping. So it very much felt more like you were protecting people, at least in some kind of way, not exactly the same way as you are in PvE, but in some kind of way you were actually protecting your teammates like a tank would do. So yeah, completely agree. Wolfhard says, all right, Zillan, moving you to the third monitor. What the... I'm not even good enough for second monitor content. I mean, I guess you're big time. I mean, now that you're a big time successful YouTuber. Dang, Wolfhard. Dang. If I'd move it to the fourth if I had 4 of them silver. That's just wrong, man. Y'all wrong. Tavern says, I wish I had known playing at the height of these games so I can have a good idea of what people are talking about. There are times when I start talking about like an old game and the way something worked in an old game, and I'm like, I feel like I got to explain something. I'm like, oh, well, now I got to explain something before that so that you have the context of why that happened. Oh, but then there's something before that. And I'm like, I end up telling you the whole history of an MMO just to explain one system. Mescon said, yes, I played a Juggernaut. Had a lot of fun with it. I was a Vanguard. That was a Vanguard main. You're running on my third. Yo, man, I can't believe you guys bumped me down from second monitor status. I'm going to go cry after the stream.
Most MMO developers neglect PvP. And so now that one is finally giving attention to PvP, the masses are going crazy. Like, oh, but what about dungeons? What about PvE content? It's still there. Just like every other MMO. Just like every other game existed. It just has consideration for those of you that like PvX, that like PvP. It don't have to be just one size fits all. Like, relax. You're going to get your dungeon boss, okay? Like, let's relax.
The condescending, the vitriol that was dripping out of his mouth. You're gonna get your dungeon boss, okay? Dang, nice.
Let's relax. There's gonna be a shit ton of content for you. There's gonna be a lot. Let's relax a little bit. So you guys let me know.
Hey, Roar says I have you muted on my phone on the far side of my desk. That's just messed up, man.
Your thoughts on that. But now let's get to that spicy hot take. PvE difficulty. You guys take a listen. My concern is how fun/challenging the PvE will be when PvP isn't happening at the same
I have the same concern.
time. Yes, very good conversation starter there, So I had this debate with someone, but they said when you design the PvE in Ashes of Creation, you need to lower the difficulty or factor the fact that PvP can be occurring at the same time. Thus, you need to make this boss a little bit easier. You need to make these mechanics a little bit less punishing because we may be having to deal with this hard boss and an enemy guild. My take is no. My take is no. Do not sacrifice PvE players' difficult content or fun content, engaging content, just because PvP exists, just because the threat of PKing exists. No. There needs to be meaningful and difficult content. There needs to be. Like, you don't need, like we just talked about, we don't need to be on one extreme or the other. Both can coexist. We want challenging PvE content. I'm a PvP man. I still love my PvE. I love tanking a dungeon. I love end-game content. I don't want a dungeon or a raid boss to be so trivialized or take away from it simply because one of these times enemy group may come into that raid and now I gotta...
Man, I disagree with this take so hard. I can't wait. I can't wait to talk about it.
Worry about the boss. I gotta worry about the ads that the boss spawned, and I gotta worry about Billy Bob Ganker over here. Yes, the threat of Billy Bob exists, but will he always be there? And because Billy Bob exists, I gotta get a very toned down road boss? I say nay. I say nay, and I will die on this hill. Because if you don't have challenging PvE content, your game's not gonna do well. If there's no sense of satisfaction, it's not gonna do well. If you sacrifice too much just for the sake of PvP players or the threat of PvP in the area, and your dungeon content and your PvE content doesn't really fulfill and satisfy the player, given a sense of satisfaction, what are you even doing? What are you even doing? Like that? No, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know not everyone gets a chance to watch the 3-hour discussion streams about a game.
Okay. All right. So, just because we watched it on stream doesn't absolve you of getting your ass over there and watching it all the way through and giving it a like. So y'all get over there and watch that video from Nice Gaming. Nice made great points. He did. I don't really have... He made good points, but I think he may not be thinking about it from the perspective of truly difficult PvE. Because like he said, oh, I like to tank a dungeon. Okay, yeah, well, anybody can tank a dungeon, and if it's somewhat difficult, I mean, how hard are dungeons in MMOs? Like, I can do most of them in my sleep, even on their hardest difficulty settings. But some of the raids and some of the world bosses in some MMOs are so technical and so ridiculously overtuned that it would be impossible to do them while you had any, like, there are some that where you couldn't have a single person who was trying to mess with your raid and you'd be able to successfully complete it. Just one guy, let alone 8 or 15 or 30. I've made this example before, but one of the hardest fights in Star Wars: The Old Republic is in a raid called the Dread Fortress, and there's the end boss is Dreadmaster Brontes, and there's this one specific. The whole fight's hard as crap on Nightmare difficulty. It's ridiculous, but there's this one specific section where it's a phase change, and she warps to the middle of the room, and then these droids drop down in a big circle like this, and she starts shooting lightning straight, and then you have to wait because the lightning can go one direction or the other, so you can't like get an early jump on it. And then once you determine which way the lightning's going, you have to go and kill the droids before the lightning touches them. If the lightning touches them, it's wipe. There's no defensive cooldown to save you. You don't take damage. It actually says you take 0 damage and you just die instantly. There's no avoiding dying. You could not have somebody messing with you while you're trying to do just that one little phase, which is a 30-40 second section of a 15-minute fight. You could not have somebody messing with you. And that level of difficulty is what is required for me to have fun in PvE content. Most of let's say hard mode content, what do y'all call it in WoW? I know Mythic's like the top level, but whatever's below that, heroic, is that what it's called? I mean, it was called hard mode in SWTOR. I can do it in my sleep. Like, I'm bored by it. I have to be doing nightmare level, extremely challenging. One person in the raid does one thing wrong, clicks one button, steps one pixel too far to the left, and the raid is wiped in order for me to have fun. And that's what I need to have fun as a PvE, like going and doing raiding in dungeons and that sort of thing. I accepted a long time ago that Ashes of Creation is not going to have that. There's no way to have that and have PV, like a PVX, a player be able to come and kill me. That's a 50 DKP minus, bro. Exactly. Thrux says, I think of Onyx as Onyxia. I think that's how it's pronounced. I've heard that before. Get one troll in there that decided to go hatch all the eggs. Oh, is that the video, the More Dots video? Is that, because that sounds familiar. Josh says, you're talking about trial content with auto kill mechanics. That has to be instance. That's not the conversation, Zillion. Is it not the conversation? Because they've said that the instance content is going to be like story stuff so that you can get through the story without being ganked by people. They're not going to have, from what I can tell, and from the conversation, and I've asked questions, I've had questions get answered on stream, it doesn't sound to me like we're getting that style of content at all. And there's been no job postings that I've seen from Intrepid looking for a raid making team, a raid development team. And you have to have people who that's what their job is making raids in order to make raids that heavy. I don't know. Change the instance ratio for dungeons raids from 20 to 60 to 80%. You think that 60 to 80% of the dungeons and raids in the game should be instanced and only 20 to 40% of them be open world. Now, I mean, I could get on board with that, but I do want to say that I completely agree with them with the idea of mixing PvP and PvE, the danger, the risk that is involved in there should come with reward. So in WoW, in SWTOR, in these other games in ESO, the best gear in the game is from the most badass hardcore raiders who are doing it at the hardest, most badass difficulty level. That should not be the case in Ashes of Creation. Not instance rates. Now, if I have to defend myself while killing the hard boss, okay, now we have a conversation. That can be the hardest, the best gear. Or I think that should actually drop components that then high-level crafters can process and craft into the best gear. But that's, yeah. Miko says, hello there. Can't wait to play Alpha 2 soon. Greetings from the Philippines. Hey, thanks for watching all the way from the Philippines. I appreciate it. Lots of comments here. I really hope we get some great PvE design that accounts for PvP potential, but I also highly doubt we will. See, Silver, I kind of think we will. I look at the, is it Tumok? Tumok, the Cyclops boss? Yeah, there were mechanics. Those mechanics weren't, like, devastating. Like the one where he kind of takes the tree and points it at you and runs at you, and Steven failed to dodge out of the way of that, like, 4 times in that fight. In a nightmare level raid, in a mythic level raid, that's death. You die. You get hit with that one time, you die. But it took like 20% of their health. Like, so there's things that, like, you could be fighting that boss and fighting off a group of people at the same time. But mythic level bosses, you couldn't be. We're talking about the ridiculously soft open worlds we have seen in other games. Have you played ESO? You can beat New World bosses naked without a weapon. It's true. You can. I have played a lot of ESO. And you can beat some of the world bosses that way. Some of them you can't, but... Silver said that would be an absolutely different game. TGF Tavern says, given that Ashes of Creation is 80% open world with 20% instance story, the issue will be that if you want harder core PvE things, it needs to be instance. The thing is, the current instance stuff is only there for story reasons. Well, and I said that earlier, and that's, yes. I don't see how you square that circle. They have said the instance stuff is for story. It is so that they can tell a epic story where you got to go fight the big bad, and you can go finish the story and fight the big bad without being ganked by other players. That's what the instance content is for, as it currently stands in Ashes of Creation. Dante says, I think the top raiders and dungeoneers are going to have their own personal PvP representation, protection squads that hang outside the fight like a bunch of meerkats. Just Bree is now following. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. I know that people say that. And I guess the gigantic guilds will do that. You have a guild of 300 people. You get your 10 best raiders. You put together a raid team. They go inside the dungeon to kill the dungeon to get the good stuff. And 290 people stand outside and don't let anybody in. And yeah, of course, there's the corruption mechanic that mitigates that to some degree. Like, you can't just not let anybody in without going corrupt. So that's a different situation. Yeah, I wonder how common that'll be. Vale says PvP during a regular difficulty raid/dungeon will be more difficult than your tightly tuned Dance Dance Revolution raid. And Vale, you're right, and that's one of the things that I've like I said earlier, I have accepted that we're not going to have PvE content in the way that I am used to. But I try as hard as I can to see the other people's perspectives, to give other people's arguments, as much breathing room as I can. And I've looked at that. I've looked at what they've said, very similar to what you said. And yes, that's where the difficulty is going to come from. The difficulty is going to come from killing this boss while also fighting off, 6 jackasses who just want to make things hard for people. Pally says, hire a PvP guild to guard the entrance. Yeah, shout out to Suspect. They're mercenaries. You could always hide them to come guard the entrance. Silver says, that was the basicest boss in my opinion. nowhere near good enough to have good PvX. Yeah, it was super basic. That's what I'm saying. Like, there was a few mechanics, but you could do those mechanics and fight off something at the same time, where a lot of them you couldn't. Big Quads on Campus says they did. Interesting. I'm assuming you're talking about the 80-20 split and being for story, and they did. Vex says, my answer was with how enemies handle newcomers into the battle rather than how players handle newcomers. If the enemy can adapt to another guild trying to gank, that could make all the difference. My answer was with how enemies handle newcomers into the battle rather than how players. So enemies, you mean like the bosses, like NPCs. Okay, if the NPCs can adapt to another guild trying to gank, that could make all the difference. So if they had some type of system where when a new threat enters the space, the boss doesn't just stay trained on the initial threat, even though they would have built a lot of threat with their threat building abilities and taunts and stuff, and would play both sides, so to speak. That's interesting. It's an interesting concept. I don't know how possible it is because I don't know anything about coding, but that's cool. Swagger Dad 69 with a first chat says in before New World 2.0. Okay. It's funny, we were actually having a conversation in my Discord today about why New World sucked and what the biggest difference between New World and Ashes of Creation. New World had no direction. They kept changing what they were doing, and when somebody did have an idea of a direction they wanted to go, they had no conviction about staying in that direction, and so every time the wind shifted, they just tried to shift with it instead of saying, no, this is our game, and this is our design, and this is what we're going to do. Where Ashes of Creation has said, hey, look, we've got these 5 pillars. These 5 pillars are not going anywhere, not changing these 5 pillars. The game is going to have these things. It's going to have risk versus reward. It's going to have conflict. I can't remember what all 5 pillars are, but they have the 5 pillars. Everything else is negotiable. We will change all kinds of things, but these 5 pillars aren't changing. It's conviction on what time of game they want to make that's going to make all the difference in the world. Food for thought, if there are instanced PvP areas, should there not also be instanced non-story PvE areas? Is PvX truly one-to-one, and should it be? Ooh, ooh, that's a question. If there are instanced PvP areas, because they're talking about like instanced arenas, the guild, the castle sieges will likely be instanced, at least to start off with. So should there be instanced PvE? I don't have a problem with instanced PvE as long as it doesn't give the best stuff in the game. That's my answer. I actually think what would be brilliant of them is instanced PvE that gives cosmetic rewards. Like, that's what it gives you. You can get, and for like furniture for your freeholds and your apartments and houses and stuff. It would drop everything but the best gear. I'd be fine with that. But I was saying this yesterday on stream, I want anybody who is partaking in any action in the game which could allow them to get better stuff than me, so to speak. Those people should be susceptible to non-consensual PvP. That's what I think. I'm not saying that I want to gank those people. I actually don't. I'm not into that. But I want it to be a possibility. I want there to be risk associated with going out there and doing things that progress your character, progress your guild, progress your node. I think the current instance PvP plans would amount to 20% of in-game PvP, so it's already the same. Probably not a bad idea. Not a bad point there. Vex says, if you can make enemy AI handle changes the same way players handle changes, that's what can make for really interesting combat. The reason you can sleep through content is because it's so scripted. Yes, no doubt about that. And that's one of the things that they do to make Mythic and Nightmare level rating be more difficult, is they add a little bit of randomness into it. Yeah, absolutely. And that's an interesting concept. Training AI to react to new players coming into the space. I like that. Somebody needs to present that to Intrepid. Somebody needs. I like that. Josh Wyatt says New World wasn't a PvX game. It was a PvP game that decided to be a PvE game at the last minute. Boy, ain't you ain't never lie. Josh, you ain't never lie. You always come in with the facts. That's it's exactly right. There was no conviction about what type of game they were going to be. And then more specifically, even when it was a PvP game, so to speak, and there was it was full PvP, full loot, all that stuff, they didn't have well thought out systems in place to negate griefing. If you look at what Ashes of Creation has done with their corruption system, that system is not there to fully stop anybody from ever engaging in non-consensual PvP, ever ganking. It's there to prevent griefing. Like the guy who kills a guy and then kills a guy and then kills a guy like 6 or 7 times in a row and makes their life a living hell and makes them want to quit. You're not going to be able to do that because of the corruption, the way the corruption, you kill somebody 2 or 3 times, even if they're 15 levels lower than you, they'll be able to kill you. And then you lose stuff. You actually lose stuff, your gear and stuff. So New World never had a chance, in my opinion. The developers never had a clue what they wanted to do with that game. And it shows. It shows. It's one of they peak at like 6,000 or 7,000 players a day or something like that. It's pathetic. And then they just now announced they're going to become a co-op ARPG or whatever. I mean, I know they're now trying to say that's not what they said, but it's kind of what they said. Pallywag says, I'm not worried about instanced arenas. The PvP community will always dedicate a spot for it, and people know to not intervene. It's the only rule they follow at times. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? We were talking yesterday, Wags, about having both instanced queued arena PvP and then actual arenas on the nodes that people could go in and participate in small duels or small man 3v3s or whatever, and people being able to watch and participate, maybe even pay to get in, and that money goes to the node or something like that. It'd be pretty cool. I played the New World beta and it was fun as hell. I think Rust, but with land pirates. Oh, I played the shit out of New World for a week and a half, like most of Earth. Did I ever hear about OpenAI's Dota 1v1? Elon introduced an OpenAI which could play Dota, and it learned Dota to the point where it was not just stomping the top Dota players in 1v1, but it actually started taunting them by stating what the chances of their victory was and how it increased every time the human players made a mistake in the chat. Oh my god, that is funny. Oh man, the AI overlords are coming to take over. I'm telling y'all. That's pretty crazy. Silver says, I presented that months ago on the forum. So I don't ever go to the forums. It's 2024. The forums shouldn't exist. There's no need for them. I'm being a little hyperbolic, but okay, so you presented that idea. Okay, I would like to see if they take any interest in that. Pierre says they had a chance when it was a survival MMO, and they are still regretting changing direction. I agree. They made huge mistake. It was like watching a sinking ship from the shore. I still remember, because what New World came out like a couple of months after Alpha 1 ended, right? Isn't that right? I'm pretty sure that's right. And Axiom was so fired up. I was still talking to Bardic and Fane at that time. I was a guest on Two Guys in a Bar, their podcast. Oh my God, they were so fired up. And I got into that. I bought that beta and I got into the beta. And I remember being on their show a couple days after I was in the beta, and I was like, this game is a mile wide and an inch deep. Like, it's as shallow as a Frisbee. There's nothing to this. There's no, like, underlying meat to this game. It's just a bunch of pretty crap, and it's going to get boring real fast. And, yeah. I was right. Let's see. Silver says, or where did I missed Tavern here. I think bosses should drop gear, but rather not drop gear, but rather things that make gear. I said that earlier. Yes, 100%. I think the bosses should drop components that have to be processed and then crafted. 100%. Silver says, yep, that's the majority of bosses in Lineage 2 dropped. Only big bosses will drop 2 to 3 full items, and they also still dropped a ton of mats for crafting that gear. Yep. And I think that's what they're doing. That's what I don't know if they've outright said that, but I definitely believe that. Like, I would have told you they have said that. So, yeah. Saluna says, hey ho. What's going on, Saluna? Thank you for stopping in again. Tavern says, dude, our guild was so excited for New World, then they just pivoted. Yeah, because it was trash. They had 5 delays and each one was sinking deeper. Yes. Oh my God, Bardic. Hey, Bardic stopped into my Discord about 6 months ago, 5 months ago. And actually, like, talked to me he stayed till like 3 o'clock in the morning. We just sat there and shot the breeze, talked politics, talked about his life and what he's doing now and stuff. I guess he still intends on coming back for Alpha 2. That's what he suggested to me. He made it sound like he was coming back, like content creation, like he was coming back all the way, playing the game, making content, all of it. So we'll see if Bardic comes back. You're still waiting on Bardic's key giveaway. I didn't know that did he promise a key giveaway and then not give away the key? Did that happen? Selena said, I just joined and read Bardic. What happened to him? Haven't heard from him in years. I mean, like a lot of people, there was just no value or point to making Ashes of Creation content, and he went into hibernation like a whole bunch of people, like Dante in chat. Dante ain't been in nobody's Ashes of Creation Twitch chat in a long time because he kind of went into hibernation. I went into hibernation to some degree, but I not to the degree they have. Yeah, he'll be back. That's what he said. The idea that you may level the world itself and have meaningful gameplay for once brought me to Ashes. Pierre, you're exactly right. There is actual value and meaning to the gameplay of Ashes of Creation, which is every bit of the reason why I am excited for it. That's it. And then like Steven, I don't know if he's a charlatan or an absolute damn genius, but every time that man talks, I just get fired up for Ashes of Creation. He's a really good salesman for his own game. He definitely gets me all kinds of excited for it. So Steven's another big reason why. And not only that, the whole like development team, like it's so cool that is it Slurp? Slurp hangs out in people's chats. Planendorf hangs out in people's chats. The whole community, the development team seems really tight and like they enjoy their job and they're excited for what they're putting out, which it doesn't seem like that's the case in a lot of other MMOs. So, yeah. Tavern said he changed focus on real life stuff. Bardic did. He and his brother, I want to say brother, own a microbrewery where they're from, somewhere in Colorado. So he's doing a lot of whatever that work entails. I don't know what he does there, but something. Everyone got mad when I said New World should have been included with your Prime sub. Oh. Yep. That's. Got nothing else to say about that. That's perfect. It's. You know what? And it still wouldn't be worth it. New World could be free with your Prime sub that you're already getting because you need Prime, and it's still not worth it. Saluna, you hope he comes back? Me too. He was definitely a character in the Ashes space. When that podcast disappeared, the two guys in a bar.
Ready to serve, my lord.
You know, we lost Fane, Redbeard, and Bardic from like the content creation and just to a lesser degree the community. Although Redbeard and Fane are still very much around. Yeah, there's a big loss. Lude Lloyd, thank you for the follow, brother. I appreciate it. Been watching some of that content you're putting out. Keep it up. Lloyd, I'm gonna tell you, man, a whole bunch of people have come in here and followed me that I know were following me during Alpha 1 and the times since then. So I don't know what happened. Whatever. People have been getting unfollowed. Y'all were like, this guy don't make no damn Ashes content anymore. He disappeared. I'm out. Pierre says everyone is guessing which one he is, whether he's a charlatan or a genius. I know, right? Like, I'm pretty sure he's just a genius and he's charismatic as hell and he's passionate about his game and he agrees with a lot of the ideology that I already have regarding what MMOs should be. And so that's why I just connect with him. But, like, I also know that you never know what's in somebody's heart. So I'm always just a little bit guarded. Like, one day, is he just going to show up and be gone? I don't think so. But Josh says, also, we're acting like the community won't self-segregate. How are you gonna have a PvP tank fest in dungeons when the gankers are all playing pirates in the open water? I will say, one of the best arguments against the whole PvE versus PvP, PvX argument is the size of the world and the sheer number of shit to do. Between crafting, processing, trying to get a freehold, decorating your wherever you live, the entire animal husbandry system being absolutely just insane. Pirate combat, water combat, raids, castle sieges and node wars, and yeah, I mean, there's so much to do, and the world's gonna be so big and have so many different dungeons and things to do. Yeah, there's a possibility that it'll just be people be spread out enough that you're not just like permanently in danger. I'm in danger. Lloyd says, LMAO, I have yet to see the nice PvE thing. Am I too late or early? You are too late. I already watched it. It's pretty short. It's good. He's got a little bit of a hot take. I won't ruin it for you, so you can go over there and give it a watch and make sure you like it. All of you, when you're watching Ashes of Creation videos, hit the like button. Come on now. It's a good take, though. It's a good take. He's definitely got... Like, I don't necessarily agree with him. Like, it's one of those things where I see his point completely, but he didn't convince me. He and I need to have a longer conversation. He's going to have to convince me some more. Ripta says, I remember back in the day when the Dungeon Crawler Network was doing an Ashes show with Alpha Soul and Crowbar Theorycraft. That was a good show, a lot of fun. Alpha Soul is my favorite Ashes of Creation content creator. I wish he was still doing content other than the 1v1 he did with Vlad here a couple weeks ago. Or Rive, with Rive. He did one with Vlad a while back. I have to take my daughter to the dentist today, so I don't have time to get into this content creator program topic that I want to get into. But I think they are making a huge mistake with this program. I do. And one of these days, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about this content creator program and the mistake I think they're making. But yeah, I only got about 20 more minutes before I got to go pick up my daughter and take her to just routine, but dentist appointment. Mostly because everything is related to node progression, people will have to forcefully interact socially in order to unlock content. Yes, Stephen has said that PvE builds the world and PvP changes the world, and people will have to work together in a PvE way to build up the world, to build up the nodes that they want to have built up. And then when somebody else on another server learns that if they hadn't built this server, or this node, and instead they built this node, this other boss would drop, and that boss drops a piece of gear that makes tanks overpowered, then the PvPers will have to get together and work together to tackle down that node so the PvEers can get together and build up the other node. I know that's super convoluted, but that's that is very much a like 3,000 foot overview of how I see things happening. As people learn what is available, had they unlocked or leveled up a different node than the one they did, sieges are going to start happening in order to knock down nodes just so they can get whatever the new shiny toy is. At this point, I think you're just fucking us for that discussion. I'm telling you, man, we're gonna have a discussion about the content creator program. Which, just to be clear, I have no expectations whatsoever of getting into this program. I never did, so it's not a sour grape situation. It's an actual legitimate mistake I think that they're making. So keep teasing. Just get into it. I don't have time, man. It's a longer conversation than 20 minutes. So I will. But I'm back. I'm going to be streaming now. I'm going to be streaming at least 3 times a week. So we're gonna get into it. Tavern basis. What do you mean basis for what? What's the hot take? I think that Ashes of Creation is making a mistake with their content creator program. One specific mistake. But if I get into it now, it's going to start the conversation, and it's longer than a 20-minute conversation. I'll just say this: the criteria. But that's all. We'll talk about it later. Vassal, we need an AOC countdown clock. Make the announcement already intrepid. Y'all tell me, are they gonna announce the date before Q3? Y'all tell me. I would like to. I think if they are, don't they have to announce it like by tomorrow? Don't they have to announce by tomorrow that they are going to announce it at the live stream? Helder Verino says, how do you know about the criteria? Did you read it in any page? Yes, if you just Google Ashes of Creation Content Creator Program, it tells you specifically what the criteria is. Maybe it doesn't. Margaret has repeated the criteria over and over and over again during the live streams, though. I don't know why they would need to announce it by tomorrow. So, Lloyd, the reason I think that is they, in the past, they've had announcements about announcements. They have announced, we're going to give you the quarter at the end of the live stream at the end of this month. And the topic of the upcoming live stream being how the sausage is made, the technology behind how they're putting characters on the screen, etc., is just mind-numbingly boring. Like, I'm gonna watch it because I watch all the streams, but like, I'm not excited about it at all. So how would you get a lot of people there to the live stream? Say, hey, by the way, at the end we're gonna announce the date. So yeah, spinning yarns now, though. I'm just guessing. They are definitely going to announce it this month for the very last day of quarter 3. I mean, they have said that they would probably announce before quarter 3. Probably. Ooh, better question. If they don't announce it before quarter 3, do you think that's a bad sign that they're behind? That's a good question.
Ready to serve, my lord.
Scotch Bigfoot, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Just Bodo, what did I miss? Oh, everything. You missed the whole... everything. You missed it all, brother. Saluna says, what? I actually find that interesting. Yeah, the stream topic for this month. I know there are some people who do. And more power to you. I don't. There's no like negative thoughts on my end towards anybody who finds that interesting. I just want to sleep. Like when I almost fell asleep just listening to Margaret talk about what the stream was going to be about next month. Yeah, Beck said the same thing. Some people find that stuff interesting. They do. There is, but there are some who don't, for sure. Maybe they will say when the character creator will be available. One of the things that makes me like gives me a little bit of trepidation about this entire project is they said way back when they showed us the character creator, which was like 2 fucking years ago, that soon they would give it to us and let us like play with it, and make characters and stuff. And Alpha 2's almost fucking here, and we still don't have the character creator. And according to PI, they didn't even have the character creator in its full glory for what they did for the testing. So it's like, is that character creator really that far off? TGF, I love the "are they behind or not" conversations. I know it's easy conversation topic. I think it's a mistake, but I think they'll still release quarter 3. You think it's a mistake for them to release quarter 3 of this year? Is that what you're saying? Or you're saying it's a mistake for them to not say it before quarter 3, the date? Helder Verino says, is that studio real? Because it's really cool. It is not real. It is AI generated, but I will tell you this. I am in the process of getting ready to build a studio in my backyard. I'm going to build a place where I do all my YouTubing and streaming, and I was using AI to generate different backgrounds to get ideas for what I would like it to look like, and I have been theory crafting on how I can get my walls to look like that with the black and red and the big texture and stuff like that. Theory crafting on how I can make that happen for my studio when I make it. So it's not real, but it might be. It might be in the future. Silver says, I already expect them to be behind because Steven incepted the idea of in case anything happens when talking about their Alpha 2's release date. The biggest concern that I had regarding that is since they announced quarter 3, pretty much every month during the live stream, they have reiterated, we're on track. We're good to go. We got this. Quarter 3 coming at you. But this last live stream, there was just the tiniest little doubt in Margaret's voice. It was like, yeah, we're definitely gonna, yeah, we're on track for quarter 3. And it was like just that little bit. And I'm like, oh. And then, of course, the fact that they haven't said anything yet when they said they were going to before quarter 3, they still got a couple weeks. So we'll see. But there was just that little bit of doubt. Oh, go back and watch it. Go back and watch when she said it. Just a little bit. A1 hopefully taught them a lesson. And I think that's the reason why they're going to launch no matter what. No matter what happens, if they have to wait till September 31 and launch the game in a crap, launch Alpha 2 in a crap way, And then after a couple of days of everybody being like, this doesn't work, they'll take the servers down and be like, well, Alpha 2's still on. We have to take the servers down for a week to do some repair. They take the servers down, repair it, put it back up, and then like go about it that way. But I think that at this point they cannot delay again. Vale says, I think it'll be the Wild West at first, but then the lines will settle and alliances will work together using scheduled metro destruction while maintaining long-distance scientific flight paths. Boy, that's specific. That is specific. Dang. Levi says soon relative to the meteor that killed the dinos. Yeah, relative to that, it will be soon. Lloyd says, I think they're running into rendering character model issues, which is why there is a tech stream next stream. Interesting. See, I tend to think that they are the live streams are planned out more ahead than that. And they're not specific to what they're working on right now, although the node stream would kind of prove that wrong now that I think about it. You know what? You might be right. Might be right. I thought Margaret only said we would have character creator before launch. Oh, maybe they did say before launch and not Alpha 2. I didn't think about that. Okay, fair enough. Ripta says, do you plan on upgrading your PC for launch? I upgraded this PC about 1 year ago. I think it's almost exactly a year ago, actually. It is a damn strong PC, and the specific combination of parts that I got are really, really good for streaming and content creation. So right now, I don't see any reason to do it. Now, if launch is 3 years from now, I'll probably upgrade it at that point. It will be a couple of generations of technology ahead. Just Bodo says, I bet they're looking for August. Gives them a 1 month wiggle room in quarter 3. I have thought all along that August makes the most sense, especially with the expansions of Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft. Last night I was joking with somebody on stream. An actual brilliant plan would be for them to just launch Alpha 2. I believe it's August 26th is the day that World of Warcraft's expansion comes out. Launch Alpha 2 on that day. Number one, you say, I'm not scared of you to World of Warcraft, which is just like a big dick moment. But number two, and more importantly, the queues that are going to be crazy for Alpha 2 would be reduced. Like, everybody would run and go play World of Warcraft for a couple of weeks and then come back to Alpha 2, and so they would like trickle in as people got bored of repeating the same endless boring PvE content, and come back over. So that's a good idea, but early August makes sense for me because then you miss the rush for both the Final Fantasy expansion and the World of Warcraft expansion. But also, games that exist are going to have expansions, and if Alpha 2 is continuous until launch, you're going to be dealing with those expansions from now until till the end of time. So make your game good and ignore it. I think those 6 tests showed them that they're not ready to welcome 100K players into Alpha 2. And Lloyd says, yeah, I agree. That there might be a lot of truth in that. I don't know. I wasn't in it. PD Entertainment says, hey, man, nice to see you live this much. You think a 4080 or a Ryzen 7 would be enough for streaming the game, or should I upgrade to a Ryzen 7? And then you said Ryzen 9. I have the 7800 X3D processor with the 7900 XTX graphics card, and every single game that I play, I put on absolute maximum graphics, everything, all the pretty bells and whistles. I stream it in Discord in 1080p and 1440p to my friends and stuff. I think that if you go to the current generation of Ryzen stuff, it'll be fine. And same thing with AMD. The reason I do Ryzen is because it multitasks better. AMD's better for gaming specifically. I'm sorry, not AMD. NVIDIA is better for gaming specifically. AMD is better for multitasking. So and since I'm a content creator. How many peeps are going to make characters just to PK others? I think a lot of people think they're going to do that. I think a lot of people think they're going to do that. But I think that the time investment into having a good character and the horizontal progression, the way we're going to be able to almost endlessly progress in a horizontal fashion, will make having PK characters be harder than other games. Okay, they did say before Alpha 2, so there you go. It's been their response on X. Okay. I'm waiting until actual launch of the game before updating. It might be 2 years before official launch, and I don't feel like updating twice. I was at a point where I just had to. In particular, making videos. When I was trying to edit videos, it was a freaking nightmare, man. Just waiting for stuff to render. Even though my computer was pretty good, it's just modern technology is just advanced to the point that it didn't do it. So I did it knowing that we're probably a couple years away, and I'll probably upgrade again. Are you retired? Are you asking me if I'm retired? I am not retired, but I am planning on making Ashes of Creation be my job. That's been the plan for a while now. When I first started my YouTube channel in 2021, it was January of 2021. My intention was to build a community around Ashes of Creation. That's what the intention was. I had no idea what I was doing. I had never made a YouTube video. I had never edited videos. I'd never used Photoshop to make a thumbnail or make anything, whatever. And I sat down for months and taught myself how to do all of it and made a video. And my channel went absolutely crazy for reasons that I still don't understand. And it made me go, oh crap, I could actually do this. And so here we are. I think they're not ready for 100K players. They'll just add more servers. I think if they're not ready for 100K players, they're going to need a lot of players. So have I told you guys my conspiracy theory about how they can do launch and make it be way smoother? They've already warned us that character wipes are a possibility. Server wipes are a possibility because it's going to be an alpha. I think that they just launch Alpha 2 with as many servers as they need to have very small or no queues. So everybody can just bum rush into the game and just everybody can just play the crap out of it. 380 streamers streaming to 600,000 people, whatever crazy numbers it's going to be. And then in a couple of weeks when it all dies down, because it's going to die down, especially because people don't realize what testing is. They think they bought access to a game and they didn't yet. Then you go, oh, whoops. Calamity, got to take the servers down for a couple days. We're gonna have to have a server wipe, and when you bring the servers back up, there's like 12 servers. It's just enough for the people who are remaining or whatever. And so you eliminate the whole queue issue. That's gonna be an issue on day one of Alpha 2. I'm already excited about 500 streamers in Twitch staring at queue screens, trying to figure out a way to entertain their audience while they're in the queue. I'll be retired in 1.3 years. Probably no life Ashes after that. Yeah, Squatch. You got a guild, Squatch? I got one for you. If you want to, you want to come join a guild where we're gonna no life the hell out of this game. Come find me. I hope it all goes to plan with A2. The only thing that would kill the hype would be server stability, especially with the large A2 crowds looking to play. They might want to seriously consider over 100K people playing. I mean, he said 100K people had Alpha 2 access. Was it 2 years ago? A year and a half ago? And then they did all that FOMO, we're going to stop selling Alpha 2 access, you better go buy it, and crash the store several times in the process. There's way more than 100,000 people going to come play this game. I've been guessing between 150 to 200K, so there you go, Squatch. 180 is probably right on. But do they have the money to spin up that many servers at this time? And that I have no idea. I know I've heard servers are expensive, but what's expensive? I don't know. Five Guys is expensive. It's all relative. Loloy says that's most likely what's going to happen. I don't think that's a hot take at all. I hope that's what happens. I would love for there to not be queues on day one. That would be all right with me. Can y'all think about that? 180,000 people paid at least $250. It's a lot of money, y'all. It's a lot of money. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Usually the server structure isn't that hard to do to spin up new VMs or whatever. VMs would be virtual machines, I think. See, I know a little bit about a little bit. Yeah, I don't know what it takes to spin up a server. That's just not. I could spin up a V-Rising server for you. You want a Valheim server? Shit, I got you. That's easy. I can do that all day.
Ready to serve, my lord.
Armored Monkey, thank you for the follow, man. I really appreciate it. Welcome to the Zillagers. I don't think it's a cost. I can spin up a new server in my work environment for no costs. Okay. Okay. I don't know how that works. He says, welcome back to the Ashes community, old friend. I never left the community. Let's just slow the fuck down here for just a second. I never left the community. I just stopped. I didn't even stop making content. I just radically slowed down the rate of content production. That's all I did. But I've been here at all the live streams. I've been attending other people's streams. I've been commenting in other people's videos and stuff like that. I never left. Just didn't make as much content. Wasn't worth it. Spend 9 hours on a video and 260 people watch it. and the average duration is 3 minutes and 20 seconds or some shit. PD Entertainment says, what's the name of this song? The one that was just on. This is called Caravan to Miralith. Levi, go back. I made content just a couple weeks ago. And I made content a couple months before that. And a couple months before that. Every 2 to 3 months, I made content. I know that's not what y'all want, but that's what you got. It took WoW till Legion to have a cleaning launch. I can forgive a bad launch for a good game. I mean, I think you mean a clean launch. That's interesting. You can forgive a bad launch for a good game. I agree with you. I can too. I think most of the MMO community cannot. I think you have I remember having a conversation with Bardic back a long time ago about SWTOR. He's like, that game was awesome. It was so much fun. There's no in-game content. There's no point in playing that game. I'm like, Bardic, the game came out 10 fucking years ago. There's lots of in-game content for that game. But because the launch was shitty and there was no in-game content at launch, he's just like, there's no in-game content. It's never going to get any better than it was the day they fucking launched. There's a lot of community like that. So, yeah, I disagree completely. Luloy said it's a hardware thing. If you have the CPU RAM in your environments to use to hold the amount of players, then you can spin up how many ever servers you want. Who was on your podcast recently? Tavern? Zillan, I never stopped making content. I didn't stop. I slowed way down. Oh, I was. And I will be again if you ever invite me, but you never just message me and say, hey, want to come on podcast? Just never. Obviously, I'm being dramatic. But anytime you need somebody. It's just the server you pay for. It's all the other stuff around it. Load balancing, DDoS protection, ingress, egress from data centers, blah, blah, blah. See, Ferocious Poo, the thing that, which by the way, that name is just, mwah! The thing that really frustrates me about that, and this goes back to like these tiny little breadcrumbs that they leave behind that make me question the project. I don't really question the project, but there are like tiny little things that I'm like, what is going on? So Alpha 1 was supposed to be the test for that. Alpha 1 was supposed to not be a content test. They kept saying that over and over again. This is not a content test. This is like an infrastructure and back-end test. Can people log into the game? Can they put in their username and password? Can they create a character? Can they log onto the server? Can they move about the server? Like all that stuff. And it seems like we're back to testing that same shit. And I'm like, what was Alpha 1 for then? Maybe I'm wrong. You abandoned the village. You're like the dad that pops in every 3 months and says, hi, kids, when he then goes and drinks beer. Well, now I'm about to be but like that dad that just got out of prison and just wants to move right back into the home and go right back to like nothing ever happened. If we're going to keep up with that analogy. You guys are booked until September? Damn. So if I ever want to be on Tavern again, I got to book myself 6 months ahead of time? Damn. You have to keep testing as scales increase. And I understand that. And that's why I said it's just a tiny little in the back of my head kind of thing. I think this is A1 Part 2 because of the insane amount of A2 sales. Yes. Yes. We do have our Tuesday Tavern Talks. They do have Tuesday Tavern Talks. For those of you who don't know about it, the TGF Tavern, they do Tavern Talks on Tuesdays where they go live on Twitch. And anybody from the community can jump in and be a part of the Tavern Talk, be live on stream and just talk. You don't have to have your camera, just your microphone. And you can talk and engage with the community about different topics they bring up. It's a great time. So you guys go do that. It's fun. I did it a couple what was it, 2-3 weeks ago. Levi says, book now. You get it just in time for A2. Yeah, put whatever the next available date is. Just write my name in, please. I mean, we can't be in the midst of Alpha 2 and me not be on the Tavern. It don't work that way. That's not how life works. Oh my God. All right, y'all. I got to go take my daughter to the dentist. I really appreciate all of you guys coming in and hanging out and chatting with me and going through this thought experiment. We didn't even get into PvE servers, so we will still do that again. We will get into steel manning the PvE server argument. I don't agree with PvE servers, but we're going to give it the best argument we possibly can for why PvE servers should exist, and we'll do that coming up in a stream here real soon. I may stream Friday night, so you guys look forward to that. I want to hear your big talk that you keep keeping secret about the content creator program. Yeah, we need to have a conversation about the criteria for the content creator program. But anyways, thanks a lot, y'all. Is there anybody else live in the Twitch category right now? In the Ashes category right now? Let's go look right now. Let's make sure. I don't want to.
Perfect.
No, there's nobody. Okay. All right. Well, I'll just end it. I will see you guys soon. Bye, y'all. Thanks.